Welcome to This Is Your Life, Carolyn. Let us begin with a look at the early years of this wonderful person we've grown to know and love. Wasn't she about the cutest baby you've ever seen? Look at that cute little lock of hair on top. Her grandmother Jewel loved her. Her sisters loved her. They played with her and dressed up with her. As she grew older, she kept growing prettier. Look at that innocent look in her eyes. Even in her early years, she was something to behold. As a young teenager, her beautiful eyebrows and eyes revealed that intelligent look. Sometimes, though, the mischievousness in her was revealed, as here that tomboy character was indicated as she was caught trying to climb a tree. A happy girl at all times, she learned her joy in life at an early age. She liked to dress up at that age. Here she is in one of her favorite flowers and dresses. Just look at those eyes. There was always something special there that attracted most of us. One of Carolyn's big moments in life occurred at her graduation from the 8th grade, where she gave the graduating class address, which she still remembers, by the way. Her mom and dad were very proud of their baby. A new sophisticated life followed her after grade school. Here, she and two of her closest friends prepare for a night on the town. Other changes occurred as here, she and her friend Sarah assumed pseudonames, Clarabelle and Candy. And there were wild parties, drinking sodas with wild abandon, hiring a huge bodyguard to protect them. She developed a taste for fancy cars, here in a 1928 Marquette. All that energy eventually led to her becoming a varsity cheerleader at the Beloit High School. As she grew older, her modeling took on a bolder nature, as here she shows off her toes and her Pepsi bottle.
5'2", eyes of blue. Oh, what those 5 foot can do. Has anybody seen my gal?
Smart, good-looking, sharp dresser, fun-loving. Soon those qualities attracted a man of similar qualities, and her guy came into the scene. Her guy, Larry, introduced her to a more sophisticated life, like fraternity parties in a pasture, as well as formal occasions. He would do most anything to impress this beautiful girl from Beloit. She kind of thought he was silly, but they were falling in love, and soon they were engaged. Wedding date set, Carolyn all abeam. The wedding gifts started pouring in, and Larry started wearing his hat. All dressed up and ready for a wedding. A bouquet of roses, a bright wedding dress, a smile on her face, and at her father's side. What a beautiful sight for her waiting bridegroom. Oh, what a beautiful couple, and so much in love. The ceremony over, the married couple were eager to leave the church. But first, the reception. And from the beginning, Carolyn was a little apprehensive about how Larry would react to her cooking. And Larry wondered if she really did cook this cake. And then it was honeymoon time, where Larry, in his old man's high-powered Lincoln, managed to outrace all his fraternity brothers and made it to isolation in beautiful downtown Salina, Kansas. Life with Larry. What would it bring? Bow ties, dance bands, and what's this? a military uniform starting to show. The start of many Christmases. Here Carolyn proudly shows off her first Christmas present from Larry, a $3 watch. 50 years later, Larry repeated his magnanimous Christmas giving with a $30 watch. But the beautiful Carolyn's life with Larry was really tied to the U.S. Air Force. Plenty of new adventures there. Of course, there were still formal occasions as Larry continued to try to impress her. She was always there, right by her soldier's side, here wearing his father's uniform. Yes, sir, she was always there. She pinned on his second lieutenant bars, pinned on his wings, and she was there to pin on his eagles. She was right beside him at many farewell parties. He usually got the crummy squadron plaque, and she got the, what is that thing you are so surprised at, Carolyn? Yes, she was with Larry at his commissioning, and she was with him at his retirement. 26 years together in the Air Force. Life with Larry was life with the Air Force to that point, and it was fun. Life with Larry was also full of traveling. Here in the early years, they stopped at the Royal Gorge. Her travels to Japan were full of memories, and still madly in love with one another. Larry even took her shopping to the most exotic places, here introducing her to motorcycle storefront shopping. Here she is overlooking the beautiful city of Nagasaki. And of course there was the memorable visits to the Japanese shrines, where Carolyn discovered that the Japanese schoolgirls had adopted her style of dress. Larry spared no expense. He even took her to the beautiful beaches of Waikiki in Hawaii. And why not? He even splurged and took her to the beautiful downtown Disneyland. But real vacations were ahead. They even spent a whole afternoon at Yosemite National Park and several hours on the steep streets of San Francisco. And romantic Larry even made up for that Salina, Kansas honeymoon by taking Carolyn to Niagara Falls. But considering it was the middle of winter, Carolyn wasn't very impressed. A few hours at Hearst Castle should also be added to the exotic places Carolyn visited in her life with Larry. More subtle trips as well, such as canoeing down the Black River. More memorable travels with Larry include the Paris Air Show, romantic walks at night along the river in Paris, beautiful Salzburg, Austria, the birthplace of Mozart, wildflowers picked during their stay in the Swiss Alps, visits with friends in Stockholm, even seeing the sights in London. He even took her to special football games, arriving a bit early at this one. Of course, life with Larry was not always peaches and cream. There were times when she got into his hair. They did share a lot of common interests. They were loyal and ardent cowboy fans, and often fought over the one pillow. But everything was fine when she finally got her very own Dallas Cowboy mug. This dashing couple was certainly enhanced by the beauty of this lovely lass from Beloit, Kansas. There were melancholy times too, as here they viewed the Vietnam Memorial Wall and remembered friends that didn't make it back. There have been many anniversaries, always celebrated by a rose for each year. And then there was that wonderful 25th anniversary in Beloit, Kansas, hosted by their children. They still look young, don't they? They celebrated their 30th anniversary in Ohio. Age is beginning to tell. There were occasions when Larry remembered that first cake stuffing incident back in Beloit. Life with Larry, of course, met homes in many different places. Over 30 homes in their first 35 years of marriage. Early on, there was Jardine Terrace married housing at Kansas State. There were 4 homes in Japan, this being the one at Yokota Air Base. Then a brief stint in Wichita, Kansas, followed by their first home at Edwards Air Force Base. Carolyn's first real new house was a good old Fort Walton Beach, Florida, 23 Windermere Court. She got to pick out the carpet, the brick color, the tiles, the light fixtures, etc., etc., all those wonderful things that go with building a new house. Their home in Dallas was a wonderful place, filled with memories, but Carolyn had misgivings about the small kitchen that Larry had overlooked when he selected the place. Their home in Fairfax, Virginia was one of Carolyn's favorites, a nice-sized kitchen, which got a new floor covering after Larry spilled hot lead on the first one. After Virginia, it was back to Edwards Air Force Base, where Larry's promotion authorized them to live in the high rank area, referred to by the captain's wives as Menopause Manor. Their rented home in Montgomery, Alabama, was the first home since their marriage where they were all alone. The children all stayed behind at Edwards, living in their own on-base quarters. It was quiet. Then on one special Valentine's Day, they found their dream home on the shores of Boggy Bayou in Niceville, Florida. They were so delighted in it that Carolyn named it Carey Shores, C-A for Carolyn, R-Y for Larry. However, they had to leave Carey Shores for a few years when Larry was assigned a tour at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. But the assignment came with a chance to live in the famous brick quarters there, a most memorable stay. And after that, it was back to Carey Shores, Pleasant Feelings, where they have remained ever since, except for a few short stays in their travel trailer, appropriately named Carey Trails. Yes, life with Larry. From teenage marriage to celebrating 50th birthdays. Carolyn may have enjoyed her 50th. Larry was excited about his 70th. But what do you think about your 70th, Carolyn? It really does keep getting better, doesn't it? Looking back, there have been Sunday school classes together, vacation Bible schools together, even musical skits with our wonderful care group, the Boggy Mountain Bunch. There have been many adventures together, like rope walking high in the trees, walking the beaches of Hawaii, boating to their favorite restaurant, and of course flying together, which eventually led to building their own airplane, appropriately named Sweet Caroline. Sweet Caroline, officially introduced to their family at their first reunion in Destin, a reunion that Carolyn so magnificently arranged. Their flight to their hometown of Beloit, Kansas, landed their picture on the front page of the local paper. Carolyn's first flights in Sweet Caroline were not without apprehension. She began to overpower the apprehension with sleep. But she soon learned that flight with Larry was routine, and she could relax and enjoy the adventure. There have been many memorable flights since, and Carolyn has learned to be a very good backseat driver. There were times, however, when she disagreed with his plans. But their cowboy loyalties kept them very close. Of course, one of the major highlights of life with Larry was their 50th wedding anniversary, so carefully orchestrated by Carolyn to include a huge family reunion and, of course, a very memorable reception. Preparations for the reception included dressing Clara in Carolyn's own wedding dress. Carolyn carefully supervised the tiniest detail. Larry even wrote a poem to commemorate the occasion, and wedding vows were repeated in front of some of the original cast. After 50 years, they were still deeply in love, and still a very handsome couple. The traditional cake cutting went fairly well, as Larry avoided the swinging cake knife. Yes, 50 years together. Life with Larry has been good. Well, we're just getting started. Now comes one of the really big parts of Carolyn's life, her family. Of course, her family started off with homemade maternity smock. Isn't she cute? Here, that rare photograph in a very family-oriented mode. A beautiful new mother with her firstborn, Valerie with hair long enough to put a ribbon in. Tender, beautiful, what a scene. Here we see the young mother in a more pensive mood, firmly holding Valerie's hands, while the look in Valerie's eyes says, "Wait till I get loose." Well, she did get loose, and you can see they were a very happy threesome. There were times, of course, when Carolyn contemplated throwing Valerie to the lions. You see, the firstborn did seem to rule the roost at that time. Carolyn's firstborn was eager to learn. Carolyn taught her how to wave, taught her how to walk, and made her a special cake to celebrate her first birthday. There were more other unusual training times for the young mother, like teaching her daughter how to get through the closet without getting caught. Soon there was a second little one. Vicki Loren came along in October 1958. Carolyn doted over Vicki, often protecting her from the overzealous feeding by her older sister. You knew she was going to get to her mother's heart as well. Yes, Vicki was a doll. Carolyn was so proud, giving her a pretty red rose to go with that pretty blonde hair. Once again, the doting mother teaching her daughter how to walk. Yes, Vicki brought Carolyn a family of 4. It wasn't long, though, before Carolyn had her family complete, with Valerie and Vicki, and now Douglas Jean, born in Japan. She often got dressed up and wore her favorite hat for her children. Finally, her first Christmas with her complete family at Itazuki Air Base, Japan. She loved those 3. And no, she didn't give Valerie that skinned-up nose. Life in Japan was always fun. She liked to take them places. Here she has Valerie and Vicki at a silk manufacturing plant at the foothills of Mount Fuji in Freddie Falcon. She even took them to the Tokyo Zoo. A little tired, but still managed to keep Doug out of the bear cage. Here she has them at Six Flags Over Texas. She always seemed to be restraining Doug from climbing over the rail. My, what a family. Here they are, fresh back from 4 years in Japan. Here's a lovely scene from the backyard of 23 Windermere Court. Didn't we see a scene earlier in Carolyn's life where she was climbing a tree? Once she did try to break the family out of the mold and get them into the real spirit of '76. Carolyn often added to her family with pets. Here she is with Fang the First, and then came Ferocious Fang the Second, a miniature Manchester. Oh yes, there was a cat, the mild-mannered Caesar. With her passion for small dogs, along came the first girl dog, appropriately named Josan, Japanese for girl. And then in 1984, along came her beloved Adam Washington Dynamics. It was amazing what she would let that little puppy do. Did she really teach her children how to find surprises in a paper sack? Vicki seemed to be very skeptical. She always gave her children their favorite birthday cake, here with 1 candle, so Doug could be sure and blow it out and get his wish. Here you see their response when she told them she was going to teach them how to ride a motorcycle. Life went on in her family. The children got bigger, and the cars got smaller. As her family matured and started to leave the nest, there were several graduations. First there was Valerie in '74, and then Vicki in '76, both graduating from Fairfax High School, Virginia. And finally Douglas in 1981 from Desert High School at Edwards Air Force Base. There were college graduations too, here with Valerie at Oral Roberts University in 1982, And then in 1986, her son's graduation from the University of Texas. Yes, with all those graduations behind her, she deserved to wear the mortar of a proud graduate's mother. Well, after graduations, there were also weddings in Carolyn's family. Number 2 daughter really had the first wedding, of course. All of this at Edwards Air Force Base. You could tell with her 3 children grown and out of the house that she needed another little baby, and Adam took a special place in her heart. Yes, Carolyn has raised a mighty fine family, and she deserved to wear mink. She was especially delighted when her youngest got married in another beautiful ceremony conducted in Austin, Texas. She, of course, continued very close relationships with her children, going to the beach, taking them to interesting places like Muleshoe, Texas, just visiting next to Cary Trails, being with them in a hospital waiting room, or seeing them off to foreign countries. Her family continues to bring her joyful companionship, helping her with the big family reunions, joking and having fun with her, or just pondering with her. Vicki, Douglas, and Valerie have been big blessings in her life, and she loves them very dearly. Now it's time to explore another wonderful facet of our birthday girl, her role as Granny. With her immediate family out of the nest, there was more family to come, and she warmed to the role. Along came grandchild number 1, Gary Wayland. She always wanted to take her grandchildren out to the pure white beaches of Destin, and there she was, first chance. She liked to get him all dressed up and share her puppy dog and go to church. Just getting used to a grandson, and along comes granddaughter number 1, Heather Lee. Heather, Valerie's first, on the left here, was a joy, and she was the first of 3 granddaughters born in 1983, joined by Sarah Ann and Tammy Loren, twin girls born of Vicki. Carolyn thought she just had double fun. Grandmother of twins. Now she could tell them all her funny jokes. Well, with 4 children already there, along came number 5 in 1985, Gregory Kevin, born of Vicki. She always welcomed the chance to train her little grandchildren how to eat. Lo and behold, in 1986, along came number 6, Derek Edward, Valerie's first son. And sure as could be, Carolyn was right there at the delivery, as she had been with all the others. Now tell me, as you look at this picture of Granny and Derek, do you think she loves her grandchildren? Airplane! Airplane! So what do you think? Is 6 enough? No. On 7 January 1987, along comes number 7, Kenneth Oliver, Vicki's 3rd boy. And she was right there for Kenny's birth, too. Number 8 in 88, Kyle Douglas. Unfortunately, Carolyn was on her way for this birth, stopped off for a Dallas Cowboy football game en route, and missed a grandchild's delivery for the first time. But you must admit, Kyle was very special to her. She even changed her hair color just for him. 8 is enough for TV, but not for Carolyn. Number 9 in 89, Kevin Daniel. Number 10 in 91, Jenny Jean. Number 11 in 93, Leslie Ray. Number 12 in 96, Kayla Grace. Number 13 in 97, Austin James. It just keeps going on. Number 14 in 98, Rachel Hanna. And number 15 in 2001, Jewel Victoria. Granny's crown was finally complete. 15 grandchildren. She likes to dress them up, much to their delight, and take them to the beach, of course. and get their attention in strange ways. One of the more interesting episodes in Granny's life was her role as camp counselor for some strange camping events, like Camp Misery for lowly camper Kyle, Camp School and Pain for lovely camper Leslie. Her favorite camp activity was, of course, the trip to Dairy Queen. And who can forget Camp Moan and Groan with camper Jenny, who took the camp name literally and went to the hospital with a concussion from water skiing. Then there was Camp Yipe and Gripe with camper Kayla, who, like her predecessor cousins, learned many useful tasks under Camp Counselor Carolyn's careful guidance. There will probably be more camps, but meanwhile, Granny trains her little ones diligently, even teaching them how to play cards or properly arrange their dollhouse, and taking them on field trips, and continues to oversee birthday parties. She loves to hold them tight, assuring them of her love for them. Grandchildren do have a way of growing up. There were, of course, graduations to attend, the memory photographs, and the opportunity to express her delight in their achievement. Her grandchildren take her to very exciting places. The years really do roll by with the grandchildren. Soon there were weddings, and there are more on the schedule. Her boundless love naturally extends to her grandchildren in-laws. Here, Marie, Greg's wife, and here she hosts a welcome home from Iraq party for her grandson-in-law, Alex, Heather's husband. Oh yes, great-grandchildren, Devin and then Matthew, precious to her. Her first grandchild, Gary, will always have a very special place in Granny's heart. Hard to get them all together, but when she could, she just doted on it. Granny is special, and they all love her very much. Well, we've seen little Carolyn. Carolyn with her guy, her family. Carolyn as Granny. Let's go back and see if we can discover the real Carolyn. Here we see Carolyn the student, the young homemaker. She did like to occasionally watch a little television. One of Carolyn's passions has always been the garden, pretty flowers. She even had a passion for flowers in the desert. Her love of gardening even gave her an intense passion for weeds. She would go to great extremes to get that one obstinate dandelion. Don't flowers bring out the beauty in her? Her tree climbing did not end as a youngster. Once she found those oranges, though, she was very protective. She really took care of her gardening. Here she's tending her wonderful peach tree in the backyard at Edwards. Her pursuit in the garden, though, was not without its rewards, and her flower gardens have brightened our home. The kitchen is where Carolyn has always excelled. She loves to shop for food for her family. She got her taste for seafood, I guess, at the Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco. Here she is cooking up a fabulous mixture for her husband in the tiny little kitchen in Dayton. Oh, she sure got a delight in her kitchen, even when she was doing suspicious things, like growing her own bean sprouts. But boy, the end product was sure worth waiting for. Here she is with her special green and red sweet rolls for Christmas morning, a tradition she started that we've all loved. There were moments, though, when I wondered if she really did enjoy doing the job her husband was supposed to do, cutting the turkey. When you survey this scene, a lovely table setting ready for the delicious morsel she has prepared, and a big smile on her face, could you ever doubt that this is one of the loves of Carolyn's life? The real Carolyn had many unusual friends as well. Here we see a rather prominent GOP political presidential candidate, Senator Goldwater, sharing a fond campaign story with his devoted fan. And here Colonel Wyckoff, Eglin Base Commander, awards her a certificate of appreciation for all the wonderful work she did as a volunteer on the base. She charmed them all. Here she's with the test pilot of the year, Chuck Sewell. Who else do you know that could take a visiting Japanese to the Air Force Museum and pose with him under the airplane that dropped the atomic bomb on Nagasaki? She seems to fit everywhere and charms whoever she is with. She enjoyed her friends, dressing up as movie stars, or even exchanging Raggedy Ann dolls. We must admit, however, that some of her friends were rather bizarre in appearance. She always liked to take her friends to the beach, where she walked rather carefully and enjoyed picnics next to the big sand dunes that aren't there anymore. She enjoyed rides with her friends at Six Flags Over Texas. Yes, that's her in the middle. For years, she has enjoyed her friends in our Tuesday night care group. Here she is teaching her brother-in-law, Bud, how to window peek. She enjoys boating and fishing, and for a while, a wild, fanatic boat driver was she, but her boat driving days were short-lived when she fell overboard. Or is that the real reason you went overboard, Carolyn? The only real way to meet her fishing and boating desires was to eventually get her a boat of her own. Carolyn's John. Another little-known facet of Carolyn was her interest in motorcycling. Her love for motoring came to the forefront, though, with her Mustangs. Mustang Mama had arrived. Eventually, she added a convertible Mustang to her fleet. There were other interests in the real Carolyn's life that not many were aware of. Anti-aircraft? We have all enjoyed watching her enjoy feeding the ducks on Boggy Bayou, or feeding the baby lions in Texas. She was somewhat leery about herding cattle. Best done, she discovered, from the inside of a pickup. Another love of Carolyn is her scrapbooks. Without her, we wouldn't have the photo history of our family. And yes, dear, most of these pictures came from your scrapbooks. Oftentimes, though, we just had to wonder. There she was with her mother-in-law, dressed in their finest, swinging whistling whirly-magiggies. Who knows what creature she found in her Dallas Cowboy cup? Oh yes, the Christmas Eve surreptitious package search. The children never knew about that, did they, Carolyn? The real Carolyn always reads the newspaper first thing in the morning, and I mean reads the newspaper cover to cover. And if you had part of the paper she had not read, you better turn it over. The real Carolyn was very camera conscious, striking a beautiful pose at a moment's notice. This picture, however, was taken with no moment's notice. Another off-guarded moment. I wonder whatever happened to those pajamas. Could that really be Motorcycle Mama? After a daring ride in the desert, a model at heart, here she shows off an outfit Valerie made for her. I still think the arms were too long. And here she models evening wear at the nursing home. Her most recent modeling was in preparation for a cold, early morning flight to Texas. As you know, the real Carolyn was known by her family as Wakanda, the famous Indian princess of Kansas Indian lore, who always remembered her parents on Memorial Day. Well, that brings us to the end of our brief look at the life of this woman, Carolyn, whom the Lord has blessed us all with. From the early years, her life with Larry, her family, her life as Granny, even a look at the real Carolyn. Each brief glimpse has revealed a beautiful, charming, loving person. God did us all a favor by allowing our lives to be touched by hers. Yes, dear, from your family, your friends, your God, always remember, you are loved.